Am I the a-hole for announcing our pregnancy at my brother's wedding after he proposed at mine? There are certain lines in life that, once crossed, leave a permanent mark. For me, one of those lines was painted the day my brother proposed at my wedding. A day that was never supposed to be about him. But I guess I should start at the beginning. My wife and I had been planning our wedding for nearly a year. Every detail was deliberate. We weren't extravagant people, but we cared deeply about making the day meaningful, not just for us, but for the people who supported our relationship. The ones who saw us through long nights, hard times, and the joy of building a life together. It was supposed to be our moment. Then my younger brother, Jake, called me about a month before the wedding. I thought he was going to ask about tuxedos or travel arrangements. Instead, he hit me with, "Hey, so I've been thinking. I want to propose to Sarah at your reception. Like, during the toasts. You know, make it special with the family all there." I froze. At first, I laughed. I genuinely thought it was a joke. But he was serious. Dead serious. "Jake," I said, keeping my voice calm, "you can't do that. This day is about me and Jennifer. It's not a backdrop for your proposal." There was a pause, and then the entitlement kicked in. "It's not that big of a deal, man. We're family. It'll be like a double celebration." It felt like he was trying to turn my wedding into a Hallmark event he could hijack for himself. I didn't mince words. I told him if he tried it, if he dared to use our wedding to stage his own moment, I would have him physically removed from the venue. I even contacted our planner and told her to keep an eye on Jake if he started acting weird. That should have been the end of it. Instead, I got a furious call from our mother later that night. "How dare you say that to your brother," she hissed. "He just wants to propose in front of family. Some of these people he might not see again for years. Don't be so selfish." I was stunned. Selfish? For wanting my own wedding to be about, you know, me and my wife? "Mom," I said, "we gave you the guest list, the colors, the ceremony plan, you've been involved in every decision. Now you're okay with Jake crashing the reception like it's a public park. If you try to kick him out," she snapped, "I'll leave too." That one hurt. I was her firstborn. I had always tried to be the responsible one, the peacemaker. But in that moment, it was clear, her golden boy Jake could do no wrong, and my boundaries didn't matter. The wedding came. My wife was radiant, the ceremony went beautifully, and then, just as we sat down for the toasts, it happened. Jake stood up, clinked his glass, and pulled Sarah onto the dance floor. And right there, in front of everyone, on the floor we had practiced our first dance on, under the lights we paid to string up, he proposed. Gasps, applause, a few happy tears. And me? I sat there, stone-faced, watching the joy my wife and I were supposed to share dissolve into their moment. I didn't kick him out. Not because I changed my mind, but because the second I stood up, my mother grabbed my arm and whispered, "Don't ruin this." So I sat down, clenched my fists under the table, and watched. I didn't say a word about it for a long time. But I never forgot. Fast forward a year later. Jake and Sarah's wedding weekend arrived. We had just found out a few weeks prior that my wife was pregnant, our first child. It was early, but we had passed the scary benchmarks, and the doctor was optimistic. We were glowing, nervous, excited, ready. I hadn't planned to do anything dramatic. Honestly, we were going to wait to tell family until after the wedding. But then, something about the reception brought everything rushing back. There I was, standing at the microphone for what was supposed to be the welcome to the family toast, and I looked around, at the same relatives who'd clapped for Jake at my wedding, the same dance floor he stole. And something inside me just clicked. Before I say anything else, I began, raising my glass, "I just want to say how grateful I am to be here. To celebrate love, family, and new beginnings. And speaking of new beginnings, my wife and I are expecting our first child." The reaction was instant. Cheering, hugs, people clapping and rushing up to us, crying and congratulating. My wife looked at me, half surprised, half teary, but smiling wide. That moment? It was ours. My mom, of course, was livid. She pulled me aside and whispered furiously, "How dare you hijack Jake's wedding like that? That was low, even for you." But before I could say anything, my grandmother, 82 years old, frail but sharper than ever, shuffled up beside her, looked my mom dead in the eyes and said, "You need to sit down and shut up, Alice." I nearly burst out laughing. It was glorious. The rest of the night? We spent it catching up with family, answering baby questions, and getting genuine love from people who wouldn't be around much longer. The same people Jake claimed to want at his proposal. My mom wouldn't speak to me after that. She sent a long, Scathing text later that week about how selfish I was, how I ruined Jake's moment, how I should have waited. And that's when I sent her a screenshot, her exact text from a year ago. If you try to kick him out, I'll leave too. She hasn't responded since. Am I proud of what I did? Not entirely. I won't lie, it was petty. It wasn't the most mature moment of my life. But I'm done being the one who always lets things slide. Sometimes, a mirror needs to be held up. And if my mother and brother saw their reflection that night, well, maybe it's about time. Because the day my child asks me what it means to stand up for yourself, I'll be able to tell them a story. And it starts with, well, it all began at your uncle's wedding.